Hello, hello, my beautiful, sensitive people. It is I, Whimsy, here to give you my nightly remote. So I've done a remote the last couple of days. I did a brief remote yesterday, and I thought, I don't know if that's enough to shoot an entire video, so maybe I'll just hold on to that remote and wait until the next day. All right, so last night's remote, I did a meditation. Somebody had asked me to look at Fox News, and that was interesting because when I saw Fox News, or when I did a remote into Fox News, I saw what looked like FBI agents crawling all over Fox News. Intelligence agents all over Fox News, intercepting phone calls, how they share news, what their news sources are, showing coordination with Russian news sources, and basically working as an agent of the Kremlin, like that whole line, and investments with Russia and China that go back to Murdoch, etc. So it was just interesting that somebody had asked me to do that. Would you go in and take a look? And then I went in and took a look and saw FBI agents, etc., 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 etc. So that was a very interesting remote. Now, there's been some talk about the fact that the president had to go to Walter Reed and get a checkup, and I thought, yeah, it's a checkup, no big whoop. But then I decided to see if I could do a remote where I actually made contact with the president's heart. It was interesting. Usually when I do a remote, I begin the meditation by just breathing, remaining with my eyes closed, and allowing myself to get into a relaxed state. Then I allow white light to come up from the earth, or it can be Kundalini type energy come up from the earth. That's the life force of Gaia that sustains us. And it comes up and that light fills you. And then particularly you want to pay attention to the third and fourth chakra, because most of the remote viewing you do will be from the third and fourth chakra. And then you can go into higher chakras also, but you're going to open yourself up to love from the universe. Allow yourself to be loved. Receive the love. And then when your cup overfloweth and you feel that the protective energy of the universe, and you feel loved and safe knowing that you are a child of this infinite love. When you get to that place, when you're in that spiritual place of protection, you then open your heart to another. And that can be any particular person you're attempting to connect with in the spirit world. I'll get back to the story, but I just wanted to answer that question. You open your heart to the other, and they either respond or they don't. Because you don't ever want to do anything that's invasive. And if you're working with Kuan Yin energy, Gaia energy, or any of the feminine aspects of healing, you really want to avoid invading anybody's space, because that's not where we're coming from. So what I do is I open my heart first. I open my, I will use my third chakra to locate. It's almost like the third chakra, or the little brain, is the stomach. The gut is almost like a very primitive life form, or a very primitive form of sensing that we have. Somebody walks into the room, check your third chakra, check your gut. And it'll tell you how you feel in response to the other person, the sensations you're feeling. It could be your own stuff. It could be your own PTSD. They remind you of someone you don't like or whatever. But sometimes it's legitimate. And knowing the difference, knowing when it's your stuff versus their stuff. Anyway, so I will go through a remote. I'll first focus on the third chakra after I've opened my heart, just to see if I feel energy, just any form of energy. Thought forms carry a lot of energy, so I'll follow that. Then I'll open my heart to see if I open with any other hearts or anyone that wants to connect. That's usually how I do a heart-centered remote. Now back to the story. So I did a heart-centered remote tonight on Donald Trump, and basically told him that I was not the enemy. It's not my job to judge him, or I wasn't going into the remote state with any. You can't do a Kuan Yin meditation and be the universal love of Kuan Yin and start. If you go into judgment you're going to lose the remote, because then you're going to go into the ego self. But if you're going to surrender to the universal love of Kuan Yin, and Gaia, you're just going to love that person so that they can then feel vulnerable enough to tell you who they are. So here's what he said. In effect, all of his defense systems are crumbling. He no longer has any way of defending himself. All of the jokes aren't working anymore. All of the insults, all of the shock and awe. The shock and awe is a technique. He says he perfected it from people like Howard Stern. It was just a shock jock effect. Half of it, he says, he doesn't even really mean. He's just influenced by shock jocks. And he thought it would be a great way to get people to laugh and to be shocking. And by people laughing and being shocked, you become famous. You become infamous, and being infamous is being better than being a nobody. So I think that was something he wanted us to know, was that a lot of the shock jock stuff is just a comedy form. It's like a routine, and and his defenses are down. He doesn't have any more defenses. He doesn't have any more jokes. He's just crumbling, and he's having an anxiety attack, a panic attack, and I think he needs real counseling. I think he needs a compassionate therapist or group of people who are not going to judge him, to just help him right now, because I believe he needs that type of medical attention. The other thing I got was some kind of bowel obstruction. It looks like something going on in the digestive tract, and that could possibly just be due to the types of medications he's been using, dehydration, because he does consume a lot of caffeine drinks, and the type of diet he's on, combined with age. So a bizarre remote. It was interesting the way I delivered the instructions for the heart-centered. Oh, and then when you close up a heart-centered remote, just thank the person for being vulnerable. So we thank Donald Trump for being vulnerable in the heart-centered remote state with us. And I take no joy in seeing anybody crumble. I think he's someone who's in a lot of pain, and as a fellow human being, I hope that he can get help for himself. All right, that's tonight's remote. Peace out.